Our friend Bryan Fischer is back, and once a year, he has to butcher the Constitution for us and explain his ridiculous interpretation of it. So let's check it out.
Just want to finish up on our conversation about whether Wiccans, that is, worshipers of the devil, followers of witchcraft, whether they have First Amendment rights under our Constitution. And the answer is that they do not. The blunt, simple, direct, straightforward answer is that Wiccans do not have First Amendment rights, nor do Muslims, nor do Jews, nor do Native Americans, nor do Rastafarians, nor do any practitioners of any other religion other than Christianity. Because Joseph, and again, I'm just quoting Joseph's story, so this is not my idea. I didn't come up with this idea. This is Joseph's story, the eminent historian of the First Amendment and the Constitution. Look what the Founding Fathers were driving at here in the First Amendment. They weren't even considering Islam. They weren't even considering Judaism. They weren't even considering Native American religions. All they were dealing with, all they were considering was Christianity. So whatever the First Amendment is about, whatever protections it extends in the federal Constitution, those were just for Christianity. So Christianity has First Amendment rights under the federal Constitution. No other religion does.
That is hilarious. So his argument is, yeah, you have freedom of religion, but you have freedom of religion to believe in my religion. Other religions, you don't have the freedom to believe in. So you have the freedom to do only what I tell you to do. You have the freedom to have the beliefs that I want you to have. Well, Bryan, we run into a little problem here because that would be the opposite of freedom. That would be defined as the fundamental antithesis of what freedom is. It's not free if you are confined to believing only the thing that you say you want them to believe. That would be tyranny, not freedom. That would be tyranny. I'm going to force you to believe certain things. You don't have the freedom to believe any other things other than what I want you to believe. See, what this goes to show you is, it doesn't matter how clear you make it. Theocrats will always twist it to their own benefit. So it doesn't matter how plainly you put the language in there. It's like, okay, you have freedom of religion. No, what that really means is you don't have freedom of religion. It says freedom of religion. No, that means you don't have freedom of religion, and you only have the freedom to believe what I want you to believe. So it doesn't matter how plain you make the language. They'll fucking find a way to wiggle out of it and bullshit through it, And my question to Bryan Fischer would be, so what do you want to do? Because he was talking about Wiccans and Muslims and Jews, and so if they don't have freedom of religion and they don't have freedom to believe what they want to believe, Bryan, then what do you want to do? What do you want to send the police to shut these places down by force? Shut down every temple, every synagogue, every mosque, every, I don't know, whatever other religious places there are? You want to forcibly shut them down. I mean, that would be the logical conclusion of what he's talking about here. You want to ban people from practicing their religion how they want to practice it in their own homes when they're not hurting anybody else? I mean, you can't imagine a more authoritarian, tyrannical, dictatorial, extremist position than that. But he presents it as if it's common sense and as if it's exactly how the U.S. is supposed to function. And by the way, even to say, oh, you have freedom to believe Christianity. No, number one. But number two is, an interpretation of what he's saying is, okay, you could believe in any of a different number of beliefs within Christianity. So there's all different types of philosophies and branches of Christianity. But if you want to be as literal as he's trying to be, which is saying, hey, at the time of the founding, they were only referring to the religion they had. That's what they meant when they said freedom of religion. Well, then you wouldn't even allow in virtually every denomination of Christianity, because the overwhelming majority of the denominations were not in the U.S. at the time. Like, were there any Catholics in the U.S. at the time of the founding? I don't think so. So anybody who's a Catholic, even though they're Christian, they don't have the freedom to worship as they want because Bryan Fischer only wants people to believe his... See, that's the thing. you can reduce this into absurdity. So you have to have the exact belief in the exact strain of fundamentalist Christianity that the founders believed in. And by the way, many of them were deists, and they didn't even believe in Christianity. They just believed in God in a vague sense. But he wants only people who believe in his particular strain of fundamentalist Christianity to have rights and freedoms. Well, then that's not freedom, and call it what it is. I don't know how anybody takes these guys seriously, but then again, I don't think anybody really does. I think Bryan Fischer gets more exposure through this show with me shitting on him than he gets on his own.